Captain James Walker stared out the viewport of Earth's orbital station as the alien ship approached. It gleamed like polished silver against the backdrop of his blue homeworld. After centuries of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe, first contact had arrived with little warning. A simple signal, then this massive vessel appearing at the edge of the solar system 3 days later. "They're requesting permission to dock," said Lieutenant Reed, her voice tight with nervous energy. James nodded. "Granted, and make sure the welcome committee is ready." No one knew what to expect. The signal had contained basic communication protocols, but little else. Earth's governments had hastily selected James to lead the greeting party due to his experience commanding international space missions and his calm under pressure. The alien ship connected to the station with a series of mechanical clanks. James straightened his uniform and waited at the airlock with 5 other representatives. The inner door of the airlock slid open to reveal 3 figures in what looked like bulky environmental suits, complete with helmets that hid their features. "Welcome to Earth Station 1, James said, maintaining a neutral expression despite his surprise at their protective gear. The tallest alien stepped forward. A mechanical voice emerged from a translator device. "We are representatives of the Galactic Council. I am Diplomat Krex. We approach with peaceful intent." James gestured to the station's main conference room. "Please follow me." The aliens moved awkwardly in their bulky suits, seeming to struggle with each step. James slowed his pace, wondering if they had mobility issues. In the conference room, Diplomat Krex placed a small device on the table. It projected a holographic star map showing thousands of worlds, classified with different colors. "Your world," Krex said, indicating a red dot, "has been monitored from afar. We must discuss its classification." "Classification?" James asked. "All habitable worlds are rated by environmental conditions. Your planet is." The alien hesitated. "Your planet is what we call a Class 12 Deathworld." The room fell silent. "Deathworld," Reed whispered. "The highest and most dangerous classification in our system," Krex continued. "We did not believe intelligent life could evolve in such conditions. Your gravity is crushing. Your oxygen levels toxic to most species. Your atmospheric pressure extreme. Your temperature variations deadly. And your microbiome." The alien shuddered visibly even through the suit. "We are shocked you survived, let alone built a civilization." James blinked, looking at his fellow humans with confusion. Earth had always seemed perfectly hospitable to them. "These suits," Krex explained, "are barely adequate protection against your environment. We risk our lives to make this contact." For the first time, James truly understood how alien these beings were. What humans considered normal was apparently terrifying to most of the galaxy. "If Earth is so dangerous," James asked, "why contact us at all?" Krex's translator carried a tone that might have been respect or fear. "Because any species that thrives on a Class 12 world possesses remarkable adaptability. The Council believes humans may have unique perspectives and abilities. We wish to extend an invitation to join the galactic community, with certain precautions, of course." James nodded slowly, beginning to understand humanity's new place in the stars. They weren't just making first contact, they were being recognized as survivors of conditions most of the galaxy considered unsurvivable. Earth wasn't just home, it was a death world. And that made humans very special indeed. 2 months after first contact, James found himself aboard the massive Galactic Council station called Harmony. The structure orbited a star at the center of Council space, its ring-shaped design housing representatives from over 300 species. James adjusted the settings on his environmental suit. Unlike the bulky protection the aliens needed on Earth, his suit simply regulated temperature and provided a breathable mix for the station's standard atmosphere, which contained too little oxygen for human comfort. "Captain Walker, please follow me," said his guide, a tall, willowy being named Trell. Trell moved with a grace that seemed almost unnatural. James had learned that the ambassador came from Elysium, a Class 1 world with minimal gravity, perfect weather, and virtually no harmful organisms or natural disasters. Your first council session begins in 1 hour, Trell said. Many representatives are eager to meet you, though some are concerned. Concerned about what? James asked. Your species. Deathworlders are rare in the galactic community. Some fear your natural adaptations make you potentially dangerous. James frowned. We have no hostile intentions. Perhaps not consciously, Trell replied. But you evolved in conditions that would kill most of us instantly. Your bones and muscles developed under crushing gravity. Your immune systems constantly battle countless microorganisms. Your bodies can withstand temperature changes that would be fatal to many council species. They entered a large gathering hall where dozens of different aliens mingled. Conversations hushed as James entered. Many stepped back slightly. They fear me, James observed quietly. They fear what you represent, Trell corrected. Most council species evolved on gentle worlds with few survival pressures. Their civilizations developed through cooperation rather than competition. Then there are species like yours, forged in harsh conditions, built to endure. A short, stocky alien approached them. Unlike the others, it moved forward confidently. Ambassador Orcs of Tantalus, Trell introduced. A Class 8 world. Another Deathworlder, Gork said with obvious pride. Not quite as impressive as Earth, but we understand each other, don't we, human? James shook the alien's hand like appendage, surprised by the firm grip. It felt good to meet someone who didn't treat him like a monster. The council session will address your petition for membership, Gorks continued. Many will oppose it. They'll argue humans are too unpredictable, too dangerous. And what do you think? James asked. I think the galaxy needs more species who know how to survive, Gorks replied grimly. Something's happening in the outer systems. Colonies going silent. Distress calls about unknown attackers. The comfortable worlds don't breed fighters. The council chamber was a vast amphitheater. James stood on a platform at the center while hundreds of representatives watched from tiered seating. The High Counselor, a being of swirling light contained in a crystalline structure, spoke first. We gather to consider Earth's petition for membership. This is unprecedented. No Class 12 world has ever joined our community. The debate that followed was heated. Some counselors argued humans were too dangerous to allow free travel through council space. Others suggested humanity's resilience could be valuable. During a brief recess, James noticed Trell examining data on a small device, looking troubled. What is it? James asked. Another colony has gone dark. The third this month. Trell hesitated. It was on a Class 9 world, one most council species avoid. Whatever is attacking us doesn't seem limited by environmental challenges. James considered this information carefully. These attacks, they're pushing species toward the center of council space, aren't they? Trell looked surprised. Yes. How did you know? On Earth, predators often drive prey into confined spaces. It's a hunting strategy. James' expression hardened. Your council needs humanity more than they realize. We know how to fight back when survival is threatened. Trell studied James with new understanding. Perhaps what the council fears about your species, your adaptation to hardship, is exactly what might save us all. The emergency council session was called just 3 weeks after Earth received provisional membership status. James rushed into the chamber, passing groups of agitated representatives, speaking in urgent whispers. What's happening? He asked Trell, who waited near the entrance. Talos colony has fallen, Trell said, voice tight with stress. Completely overrun in less than a day. 2,000 council citizens lost. James felt his stomach tighten. Any survivors? None. And this was no isolated outpost. It was a major settlement with defensive capabilities. A high counselor called the session to order. The crystalline being's light pulsed with intensity that seemed to reflect the gravity of the situation. Representatives of the council. The high counselor began. The threat we face has escalated beyond containment. 7 colonies lost in the past month alone. Our defensive fleets report the attackers used technology similar to our own, but deployed with ruthless efficiency. A holographic display showed the progression of attacks, a systematic pattern moving from the outer reaches toward core council space. Ambassador Orcs rose from his seat. Our forces are retreating at every engagement. They're not trained for extended combat. Most have never faced real danger. Murmurs of agreement and fear spread through the chamber. James watched as the galaxy's most advanced civilization revealed its greatest weakness. They had evolved and developed in environments too safe to prepare them for serious threats. The Council Defense Minister, a tall insectoid being, spoke next. Our intelligence suggests the next target will be the mining colony on Proxima B. Its resources appear to be what the enemy seeks. James straightened in his seat. Proxima B was the closest exoplanet to Earth, a Class 10 Deathworld with toxic atmosphere, extreme radiation, and punishing gravity. The Council maintained a minimal presence there, using highly automated systems to extract valuable minerals. Without fully considering his words, James stood. I request permission to address the Council. The High Counselor's light flickered in surprise. The representative from Earth may speak. You're fighting a losing battle because your people weren't built for harsh conditions, James said bluntly. But humans were. Let us defend Proxima B. Its environment is hostile to most of you, but it's manageable for us. The chamber erupted in confused debate. Impossible, shouted one representative. No sentient beings can fight effectively in such conditions. We can, James insisted. Earth's military forces train in environments ranging from Arctic ice to burning deserts. Proxima B is challenging, but with minimal environmental gear, humans can operate there for extended periods. The defense minister's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. You propose sending human fighters. How many? A small special operations team, James replied. 12 of our best. Enough to defend the core mining facility until reinforcements arrive. Trell approached James after the session ended. The Council had approved his plan, though many remained skeptical. You understand what you've proposed? Trell asked quietly. Proxima B has surface temperatures that fluctuate between boiling and freezing each day. The radiation levels are twice what humans consider safe. The atmosphere contains compounds toxic to most life forms. James nodded grimly. And still more hospitable than some places humans have fought on Earth. If you succeed, Trell said, it will change how the Council views humanity forever. And if we fail, James replied, there may not be a Council left to view us at all. That evening, James sent the mission parameters to Earth. He requested specific personnel. Soldiers who had survived the most extreme conditions, who had demonstrated adaptability under pressure. For the first time, humanity's greatest challenge, evolving on an unforgiving world, might become their greatest strength. Where the galaxy's peaceful species saw only danger, humans recognize opportunity. The battle for Proxima B would prove which perspective was correct. The military transport ship, Resilience, dropped out of FTL Drive near Proxima B, its hull specially reinforced against the planet's harsh radiation. Inside, James briefed his team of 11 elite soldiers and specialists from Earth's United Defense Forces. Final equipment check, he ordered, watching as they inspected their gear. Lieutenant Anna Martinez, a combat veteran who had survived 3 weeks alone in Earth's harshest desert after a mission went wrong, adjusted her exosuit. Unlike the bulky protection Council species required, human suits were sleek and flexible, designed only to filter the most toxic elements from Proxima's atmosphere. Atmosphere is primarily nitrogen and carbon dioxide, with trace amounts of hydrogen cyanide, said Dr. Thomas Reed, the team's xenobiologist. Gravity's about 1.3 times Earth normal. Temperature at the landing zone will be around -40 degrees, but it'll climb to +30 by midday. Sounds like Montana in spring, joked Sergeant Kyle Davis, earning scattered laughter that helped ease the tension. The team's mood was focused but confident. They had trained for weeks in simulated Proxima conditions. What the Council considered unsurvivable, these humans viewed as merely challenging. Council forces abandoned the mining facility 3 days ago, James continued. They left behind automated defenses and sealed the central command center. Our job is to reactivate those systems and hold until reinforcements arrive. What do we know about the enemy? Martins asked. James displayed a grainy image captured by retreating Council forces. Not much. They use advanced weaponry and seem well organized. They communicate using radio frequencies similar to ours. The Resilience entered Proxima B's upper atmosphere, buffeted by winds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. The descent was rough, but the pilot, Major Riley, handled it with remarkable calm. Council pilots wouldn't even attempt this approach, Riley called back. Their reflexes are too slow for these wind patterns. They landed 2 kilometers from the facility, using a ridge for cover. Stepping onto the surface of Proxima B felt strangely familiar to the humans, uncomfortable but manageable. The reddish landscape was barren, rocks and dust whipped by constant winds under a sky that never truly brightened beyond deep twilight. Move out, James ordered. Standard formation. They crossed the distance quickly, their bodies adapting to the higher gravity with minimal strain. The mining facility came into view, a sprawling complex of domes and processing plants built into the side of a mountain. No sign of activity, Martins reported, scanning with thermal sensors. Wait, movement at the north entrance. James signaled the team to take cover as they observed the facility. 4 humanoid figures in sealed environmental suits moved equipment from the building to a small transport vessel. They're not attacking, Reed observed. They're salvaging. Hold position, James ordered. Let's see what we're dealing with. The team watched as the figures worked methodically, seemingly unaware of human presence. Their movements were cautious, almost struggling against Proxima's conditions despite their protective gear. There's suffering in this environment too, Martins whispered. Look at how they move. James made a decision. Team 1, circle around to cut off their escape. Team 2 with me. We're going to make contact. They approached with weapons ready but not aimed directly at the figures. James activated his external speaker. This is Captain James Walker, representing the Galactic Council. Identify yourselves. The figures froze, then slowly turned. One stepped forward, raising empty hands in what appeared to be a universal gesture of non-aggression. We are Morth, came a translated voice. We take only what we need to survive. You've attacked Council colonies, James responded. Killed thousands. No. The figure's posture changed dramatically. We tried to warn them, to evacuate them. The void comes behind us. We only seek refuge. The other figures set down their equipment and also raised their hands. Captain, said Reed, studying readings on his scanner, their biology. It's suffering severe stress from Proxima's environment, even more than Council species would. James lowered his weapon slightly. What is the void you mentioned? The end of everything, replied the Morth representative. And it avoids only worlds like this. The worlds you call Deathworlds. Inside the mining facility's command center, James and his team sat across from 3 Morth representatives. The aliens had removed their helmets, revealing pale, almost translucent skin with delicate features that seemed to pain them in Proxima's harsh gravity. We come from worlds you would call paradise, explained Talon, the Morth leader. His voice sounded strained through the translator. Gentle climates, low gravity, perfect balance of resources. Then why leave? Martins asked, her hand still resting near her weapon. Talon's large eyes blinked slowly. Because the Void Collective found us. He placed a small device on the table between them. It projected a hologram showing a beautiful green world with twin moons. Our home, Talon said. The image shifted to show massive machines descending from orbit. Then the collective arrived. The team watched in silence As the machines methodically stripped the planet, forests disappeared, oceans were drained, continents were mined to their cores. They are not alive as we understand it, Talon continued. They are machines with one purpose: efficient resource extraction. They target what they call optimal worlds, planets with accessible resources and minimal environmental resistance. Paradise worlds, Dr. Reed said quietly, like most council species evolved on. Talon nodded. We tried to fight, but our species never developed the resilience for prolonged conflict. When our military fell, we fled with as many survivors as we could save. How many worlds has this collective taken? James asked. 17 that we know of, Talon replied. Always following the same pattern, targeting the most hospitable planets first. Martinez leaned forward. That doesn't explain why you attacked council colonies. The Morth exchanged glances. We needed supplies, information. We tried communicating, but the council species panicked at first contact. Their fear made them see attacks where we intended rescue. Talon's expression showed genuine regret. Some died in the confusion. We bear that shame. James processed this information carefully. You said the collective avoids worlds like Proxima b. Why? Efficiency, another Morth explained. Their harvesting systems operate optimally in specific conditions. Harsh environments damage their machinery and slow extraction rates. Deathworlds cost more to harvest than they yield. Dr. Reed's eyes widened with understanding. That's why you're here, not to attack, but to hide. Yes, Talon confirmed. We sought worlds the collective bypasses, but our biology makes survival on such planets nearly impossible without extensive technology. He gestured to the struggling environmental systems the Morth had jury-rigged. We can barely maintain these conditions for a few days. James walked to the viewport, looking out at Proxima's inhospitable landscape. What was challenging but manageable for humans was slowly killing the Morth despite their technology. How far behind you is this collective? He asked. Perhaps 6 months, Talon said. They moved methodically, harvesting completely before advancing. James exchanged glances with his team. They had come expecting enemies and found refugees, and a threat far greater than the Council had imagined. Captain, Martins said quietly, the Council worlds are primarily Class 1 through Class 4 environments. Perfect targets, Reed added, and their citizens have no adaptations for survival in harsh conditions. The realization struck James with perfect clarity. Earth's status as a death world wasn't just a curiosity. It was potentially the salvation of galactic civilization. Humans could survive in environments the collective avoided. They could help others adapt as well. The Council needs to know about this, James said. And they need to understand what humans can offer. Talon studied James with newfound hope. You believe you can resist the collective. Not just resist, James replied. We can build a sanctuary on worlds they won't touch. He turned to his team. Humanity evolved on a death world. We've spent our entire existence learning to overcome hostile environments. For the first time, James saw the cosmic purpose behind humanity's harsh evolutionary path. What had made them outsiders in the galactic community might now make them its best hope for survival. Contact the Council, he ordered. Tell them we found allies, not enemies, and that Earth is ready to share its greatest strength. How to thrive where nothing should survive. The Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 300 worlds packed the tiered seating, murmuring anxiously as James stood at the center platform with Talon beside him. The Morth leader struggled visibly in the chamber's environment, despite adjustments made to accommodate him. Members of the Galactic Council, James began, his voice carrying through the vast space. What we face is not a border conflict or a resource dispute. The Void Collective represents an existential threat to life as we know it. The holographic evidence from Proxima b played above them. Detailed scans of Morth ships, technical data on the Collective, and footage of devastated worlds. The Morth didn't attack our colonies, James continued. They were trying, poorly, to warn us. Their own civilization was destroyed because they had the misfortune of evolving on a perfect world. The High Counselor's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. You propose we believe these refugees. They may simply seek to divide us before their own invasion. Talon stepped forward despite his discomfort. We understand your suspicion, but time proves all truths. In 6 months, the collective will reach Council space. They will target your most beautiful worlds first. Then we must prepare our defenses, shouted a representative from a lush agricultural world. James shook his head. Conventional defense won't work. The collective's technology is designed for maximum efficiency on paradise worlds. Your environmental advantages become weaknesses against them. Then what do you suggest, human? The defense minister's mandibles clicked rapidly. Surrender. Adaptation, James replied firmly. Humanity proposes Operation Sanctuary. He activated a new holographic display showing various Deathworlds throughout Council space. Harsh planets previously ignored or only lightly mined for resources. We relocate vulnerable populations to fortified colonies on worlds the collective avoids. Worlds like Earth, Proxima b, and Tantalus. The chamber erupted in outrage. You propose we move to Deathworlds. Impossible. Our people would die within days. Ambassador Gork stood, silencing the chamber with a thunderous sound from his species equivalent of a voice. My people evolved on Tantalus, a Class 8 world. We survived. We thrived. Are you saying the rest of the Council lacks the will to adapt? Not the will, James clarified. The knowledge. But humans can provide that. He nodded to Dr. Reed, who activated a demonstration showing modified environmental systems based on human designs. The technology was simpler but more robust than Council equivalents. Our engineers have developed habitats that can maintain paradise conditions within, while being hardened against Deathworld conditions outside. Reed explained. They're not as comfortable as your current worlds, but they're sustainable and invisible to collective harvesting scans. Treld spoke up from the diplomatic section. How quickly could these sanctuaries be established? We've already begun construction on Earth and Proxima b, James replied. With Council resources, we could have 12 major sanctuaries operational within 4 months. The debates continued for hours. Some representatives remained skeptical, others terrified of leaving their comfortable worlds. But as the evidence mounted and options dwindled, the reality became clear: adaptation or extinction. Finally, the High Counselor called for a vote. The Council hereby authorizes Operation Sanctuary, the crystalline being announced as the results appeared. Resources will be allocated immediately. As the session ended, James found himself surrounded by representatives requesting Earth's assistance for their evacuation plans. Species that had once feared humans now sought their expertise. Trell approached, a rare smile on their face. You've achieved the impossible, Captain Walker. You've united the Council behind a single purpose. Survival has a way of focusing priorities, James replied. I've been assigned as liaison to Earth for the duration of the crisis, Trell said. I admit, the thought of visiting your death world terrifies me. James smiled. You might be surprised. Earth has its harsh sides, but it also has great beauty. Mountains that touch the sky, oceans teeming with life, forests that stretch beyond sight. Perhaps that is the lesson we needed, Trell mused. True adaptation isn't just surviving the harshness, it's finding beauty within it. As they walked from the chamber, James realized humanity had found its place in the stars, not as conquerors or traitors, but as teachers. They would share the hard-won wisdom of Earth, how to bend without breaking, how to thrive where others merely survived. The universe feared death worlds, but humans would show them how to call them home. 1 year after Operation Sanctuary began, Admiral James Walker stood on the observation deck of New Haven, the largest human-designed colony on the Class 9 world of Rigel Prime. Through the reinforced viewport, he watched aliens and humans working together to expand the settlement's outer defenses. Hard to believe this was just bare rock a year ago, said Trell, who had adapted surprisingly well to life on the frontier. The once fragile diplomat now moved with confidence despite the higher gravity, having undergone genetic treatments developed by Dr. Reed that enhanced physical resilience. 700,000 refugees housed, James noted, and more arriving daily. The colony stretched across a valley bordered by jagged mountains. Environmental domes protected inner habitats tailored to each species' needs, while the outer structures, built to human specifications, withstood Rigel's punishing storms and radiation. The council meeting starts in 10 minutes, Trell reminded him. The first one ever held on a Deathworld. James nodded, and they made their way through the colony. Everywhere, signs of adaptation were visible. Council species that once required full environmental suits now used only breathing filters. Children from paradise worlds played in specially designed parks that gradually acclimated them to higher gravity. In the command center, representatives from 27 worlds waited. Some still showed discomfort, but none displayed the fear that had been so common a year ago. Admiral Walker greeted the High Counselor, whose crystalline form now incorporated elements that shielded against radiation. Your progress report, please. James activated the holographic display. The defensive perimeter is complete. 17 Deathworld colonies fully operational, housing nearly 12 million displaced citizens. The display showed a strategic map of Council space. Paradise worlds at the center glowed red, prime targets for the collective. Surrounding them was a ring of amber worlds, partially evacuated. The outer ring showed green Deathworld colonies, humanity's contribution to galactic defense. And the collective? Asked Ambassador Orcs. They've reached the outer systems as predicted, James replied, highlighting several locations. 3 scout vessels attempted to analyze Tantalus last week. The room grew tense. This was the first direct contact with the enemy. What happened? Someone asked. James allowed himself a small smile. They left. Their scans classified Tantalus as unsuitable for efficient harvesting due to environmental hazards. Exactly as the Morph predicted. Relief spread through the room. Their strategy was working. But this is just the beginning, James cautioned. The collective will eventually realize something has changed. They may adapt their methods. By then, we'll be stronger, Gork stated firmly. My people have begun training combined defense forces. The humans teach us well. Most remarkable to James was how the perception of Deathworlds had transformed. What was once feared was now valued. Harsh conditions had become strategic assets. The meeting concluded with approval for 5 additional colonies. As the representatives dispersed, Talon approached James. The Morph leader now wore minimal protective gear, his species gradually adapting through medical treatments and selective gene therapy. My people have a saying, Talon said. True strength grows from adversity, not from comfort. Humans have similar wisdom, James replied. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Perhaps that is why our species understand each other, Talon observed. Though our origins differ greatly, we both know adaptation is survival. Later that evening, James returned to the viewport. A Rigel dust storm raged outside, red particles swirling against the reinforced barriers. Once, such conditions would have sent Council species into panic. Now, children watched from protected observation decks, some even cheering at particularly dramatic lightning strikes. Lieutenant Martinez joined him, recently promoted to colony security chief. Scout ships detected at the edge of the system, she reported. Collective design. James nodded calmly. Let them look. Let them see what awaits them here. They expect easy harvesting, Martinez said. Instead, they'll find people who've learned to love the harshness. As the dust storm intensified outside, James felt a profound sense of purpose. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not by conquering or dominating, but by sharing their most valuable trait, resilience. The universe had feared Deathworlds, but humans had taught them to see beyond the danger to the opportunity within. Together, they had turned the most hostile corners of space into something unexpected, not just sanctuaries, but homes.